Welcome to History Uncovered, where we delve into the stories and events that have shaped our world. In this episode, we journey back to the heart of the ancient world, to the grandeur and might of the Persian Empire. We will be exploring the life and reign of one of its most iconic rulers, a figure who has been immortalized in history, literature, and film, Xerxes the Great. Xerxes, a name that echoes through the ages, a king who dared to challenge the mighty city-states of Greece, and in doing so, sparked one of the most famous battles in history. His reign, marked by grand architectural projects, military campaigns, and a complex legacy, has left an indelible mark on the annals of history. From the opulent halls of Persepolis to the rugged cliffs of Thermopylae, we will trace the footsteps of this enigmatic king, peeling back the layers of myth and legend to reveal the man behind the golden mask. So, buckle up as we embark on this fascinating journey into the life of Xerxes, the King of Kings, a man who dared to dream of an empire that stretched from the rising to the setting sun. Stay tuned as we uncover the story of Xerxes, a tale of power, ambition, and the timeless struggle of man against fate. This is History Uncovered. Xerxes was born into a world of power and privilege, the son of Darius the Great, who reigned over the Achaemenid Empire from 522 to 486 BC. Darius, although a formidable ruler in his own right, was not of the bloodline of Cyrus the Great, the illustrious founder of the empire. This connection came from Xerxes' mother, Atossa, a direct descendant of Cyrus. In 522 BC, Darius and Atossa were wed, uniting two powerful lineages. This union would produce a son who was destined to rule an empire. Around 518 BC, Xerxes was born, a prince who would grow to become one of the most influential figures of the ancient world. His birth marked the convergence of two royal lines, a fusion of the legacy of Cyrus and the ambition of Darius. This unique heritage would shape Xerxes' life and reign in ways that still resonate through history today. Growing up as a Persian prince, Xerxes' early years were steeped in rigorous training and education, as described in the Greek dialogue, First Alcibiades. From the tender age of 7, he was taught to ride and hunt, skills essential for a future king. As he reached 14, his education expanded under the guidance of 4 aristocratic teachers. They instilled in him the virtues of wisdom, justice, prudence, and bravery, the cornerstones of Persian leadership. The young prince was also introduced to the tenets of the Zoroastrian religion, the spiritual backbone of the Persian Empire. He was taught to value truth, courage, and self-restraint. In the Persian ethos, fear was equated with slavery, a concept that would shape Xerxes' approach to leadership. At the age of 16 or 17, Xerxes, like his peers, embarked on a mandatory 10-year national service. This period was marked by intensive training in archery and javelin, competitive sports, and hunting. After this, he would serve in the military for around 25 years, culminating in his elevation to the status of an elder and advisor to the king. It was also common for families of this time, including Xerxes, to intermarry, further strengthening their political alliances. Historian Xenophon's account of the 5th century BC Achaemenid prince Cyrus the Younger, whom he knew personally, supports this depiction of Persian elite education. It is suggested that Xerxes' upbringing and education were likely similar to this model. However, it remains unknown if Xerxes ever learned to read or write, as the Persians favored oral history over written literature. From 498 BC, Xerxes resided in the royal palace of Babylon, a testament to the vastness of the empire he was destined to rule. His upbringing, steeped in tradition and rigorous training, prepared him for the challenges of leadership in an empire that spanned continents. As Darius the Great prepared for another war against Greece, a revolt erupted in Egypt in 486 BC. The heavy taxes and forced labor to build the royal palaces at Susa and Persepolis had sparked discontent. Persian law dictated that a king must choose a successor before embarking on dangerous expeditions. As Darius prepared to quell the rebellion in Egypt, he also prepared for his own mortality, constructing his tomb at Nakshi-Rustam, a mere 5 kilometers from his royal palace at Persepolis. He named Xerxes, his eldest son by Atossa, as his successor. However, Darius' failing health prevented him from leading the campaign, and he passed away in October 486 BC at the age of 64. The succession was not without contention. Artabasan, Darius' eldest son, claimed the crown on the grounds of seniority. Xerxes, however, argued his claim based on his maternal lineage. He was the son of Atossa, the daughter of Cyrus the Great, the revered founder of the Persian Empire. This argument was supported by Demaratus, a Spartan king in exile in Persia at the time. He cited Spartan law, which stated that the first son born while the father is king was the rightful heir. This perspective aligns with some modern scholars who believe Darius' decision to name Xerxes as his successor was influenced by the prestige associated with Cyrus the Great and his daughter Atossa. Artabasan was born to Darius the Subject, while Xerxes was the first son born in the purple following Darius' ascension to the throne. Moreover, while Artabasan's mother was Achaemenid, Xerxes' mother was the daughter of the empire's founder. Xerxes was crowned and succeeded his father between October and December of 486 BC, when he was about 32 years old. The transition of power was smooth, largely due to the significant authority wielded by Atossa. Xerxes' ascension to royal power was unchallenged, both within the court and the Achaemenid family, and by any subject nation. Thus began the reign of Xerxes the Great. Upon Xerxes' ascension to the throne, the empire was not without its share of troubles. A revolt had broken out in Egypt, serious enough that Xerxes personally led an army to quell the rebellion. This allowed him to begin his reign with a decisive military campaign. By January 484 BC, Xerxes had successfully suppressed the revolt, appointing his full brother Achaemenes as the satrap of Egypt. This campaign exhausted the army that Darius had spent 3 years mobilizing, forcing Xerxes to raise a new army for his planned expedition into Greece, a process that took another 4 years. Meanwhile, unrest was brewing in Babylon, which revolted twice against Xerxes during his reign. The first revolt, led by a rebel named Belshazzar, broke out in June or July of 484 BC, but was short-lived, lasting only 2 weeks. 2 years later, another rebel leader, Shamash-Sharabi, seized control of Babylon and nearby cities in the summer of 482 BC. It took until March 481 BC to defeat him after a lengthy siege of Babylon. The exact cause of these revolts remains uncertain, though it may have been due to increased taxes. Before these revolts, Babylon held a special position within the Achaemenid Empire, with the Achaemenid kings holding the titles of King of Babylon and King of the Lands. This suggested a perception of Babylonia as a somewhat separate entity within the empire. However, following the revolts, Xerxes dropped the title King of Babylon and divided the large Babylonian satrapy into smaller subunits. Classical texts suggest that Xerxes enacted a brutal vengeance on Babylon following the revolts, destroying its fortifications and damaging its temples. There are accounts of Xerxes causing significant damage to the Asagila, a major temple, and allegedly removing the statue of Marduk from the city. Some sources suggest the statue was taken to Iran and melted down. However, modern historian Amelie Court considers it unlikely that Xerxes destroyed the temples, suggesting that these accounts may stem from anti-Persian sentiment among the Babylonians. It's also doubtful whether the statue was removed from Babylon at all. Some suggest that Xerxes did remove a statue, but it was a golden statue of a man, not the god Marduk. Despite these upheavals, contemporary documents suggest that the Babylonian New Year's festival continued during the Achaemenid period, albeit possibly in a significantly altered form due to the change in rulership and the replacement of the city's elite families by Xerxes following its revolt. Darius the Great passed away while preparing a second army to invade the Greek mainland, leaving his son Xerxes with the task of avenging the Athenians, Naxians, and Eretrians for their role in the Ionian Revolt, the burning of Sardis, and their victory over the Persians at Marathon. From 483 BC, Xerxes began his preparations for this monumental expedition. He commissioned the construction of the Xerxes Canal through the isthmus of the peninsula of Mount Athos, stored provisions in stations along the road through Thrace, and built 2 pontoon bridges across the Hellespont, later known as Xerxes Pontoon Bridges. Xerxes' armies were a testament to the vastness of his empire, drawing soldiers from a multitude of nationalities, including Assyrians, Phoenicians, Babylonians, Egyptians, Jews, Macedonians, Thracians, Paeonians, various Greek tribes, Colchians, Indians, and more. According to the Greek historian Herodotus, Xerxes' first attempt to bridge the Hellespont ended in disaster when a storm destroyed the bridges. In a display of his wrath, Xerxes ordered the Hellespont to be whipped 300 times and had fetters thrown into the water. His second attempt, however, was successful. The Carthaginian invasion of Sicily left Greece without the support of the powerful monarchs of Syracuse and Agrigentum. While ancient sources suggest Xerxes was behind this, modern scholars remain skeptical. Many smaller Greek states sided with the Persians, including Thessaly, Thebes, and Argos. Xerxes was victorious in the initial battles. In the spring of 480 BC, Xerxes set out from Sardis with a fleet and an army that Herodotus estimated to be roughly 1 million strong, including 10,000 elite warriors known as the Immortals. However, more recent estimates suggest the Persian force was closer to 60,000 combatants. Regardless of the exact numbers, it was an impressive force, ready to march on Greece. One of the most iconic battles of Xerxes' campaign against Greece was the Battle of Thermopylae. Here, a small force of Greek warriors, led by King Leonidas of Sparta, stood against the vast Persian army. Despite their valiant resistance, they were ultimately defeated. According to Herodotus, the Persian forces managed to break the Spartan phalanx after a Greek man named Ephialtes betrayed his countrymen by revealing a mountain pass to the Persians. Simultaneously, at Artemisium, large storms wreaked havoc on the Greek fleet, prematurely ending the naval battle. Upon receiving news of the defeat at Thermopylae, the Greeks retreated. Following the Battle of Thermopylae, Athens fell to the Persians. Most Athenians had already abandoned the city, fleeing to the island of Salamis. A small group that remained attempted to defend the Athenian Acropolis but were ultimately defeated. In a show of power, Xerxes ordered the destruction of Athens. The city was burnt, leaving behind an archaeologically attested layer of destruction known as the Persepolis. With this victory, the Persians gained control of all of mainland Greece north of the Isthmus of Corinth. Xerxes' campaign took a turn at the Battle of Salamis. Persuaded by the message of Themistocles, and against the advice of Artemisia of Halicarnassus, Xerxes chose to engage the Greek fleet under unfavorable conditions. Instead of dividing his forces and waiting for the Greek armies to disband, he attacked. This decision led to a decisive Greek victory in September 480 BC, forcing Xerxes to set up a winter camp in Thessaly. According to Herodotus, Xerxes, fearing that the Greeks might destroy the bridges across the Hellespont and trap his army in Europe, decided to retreat back to Asia. He took the majority of his army with him, leaving a contingent behind in Greece under the command of Mardonius, who had suggested the retreat. Another factor that may have influenced Xerxes' decision to retreat was the ongoing unrest in Babylon, a key province of his empire that required his personal attention. The Persian forces left behind in Greece were defeated the following year at the Battle of Plataea by the combined forces of the Greek city-states. This marked the end of the Persian offensive on Greece, a significant turning point in the Greco-Persian Wars. After the military setbacks in Greece, Xerxes returned to Persia and shifted his focus to grand architectural projects, many of which had been initiated by his father, Darius the Great. He oversaw the completion of numerous constructions at Susa and Persepolis, the two great cities of the Persian Empire. At Persepolis, Xerxes built the Gate of All Nations and the Hall of 100 Columns, the largest and most imposing structures of the palace. He also completed the Apadana, the Takara, also known as the Palace of Darius, and the Treasury, all projects that Darius had started. Xerxes even had his own palace constructed, which was twice the size of his father's. Xerxes' architectural style was similar to that of Darius, but on an even grander scale. He adorned the exterior face of the Apadana with colorful enameled brick, adding a touch of vibrancy to the grandeur of the structure. In addition to his work in Persepolis, Xerxes maintained the royal road built by his father. He completed the Susa Gate and constructed a palace in Susa, further enhancing the architectural splendor of his empire. These projects not only served as a testament to the might of the Persian Empire, but also as a reflection of Xerxes' ambition and taste for grandiosity. In August 465 BC, Xerxes' reign came to a sudden and violent end. He was assassinated by Artabanus, the commander of the royal bodyguard, and a eunuch named Aspameters. Artabanus, a Hyrcanian, shared his name with Xerxes' famous uncle, but his rise to power was due to his popularity in religious circles and his involvement in harem intrigues. He strategically placed his 7 sons in key positions and plotted to overthrow the Achaemenid Dynasty. The accounts of Greek historians regarding these events vary. Ctesias, in his work Persica 20, suggests that Artabanus accused Crown Prince Darius, Xerxes' eldest son, of the murder. He then persuaded another of Xerxes' sons, Artaxerxes, to kill Darius in retribution for the alleged patricide. However, Aristotle, in Politics 5.1311b, presents a different sequence of events. He claims that Artabanus killed Darius first, then Xerxes. After discovering the truth about the murders, Artaxerxes avenged his father and brother by killing Artabanus and his sons. The general Megabyzus also played a role in these court intrigues. His decision to switch sides likely saved the Achaemenids from losing control of the Persian throne. Thus, the reign of Xerxes ended in a whirlwind of conspiracy and bloodshed, marking a tumultuous chapter in the history of the Achaemenid Empire. Xerxes' portrayal in Greek and Roman sources is predominantly negative, setting the tone for most subsequent depictions of him in the Western tradition. In Aeschylus' play The Persians, performed in Athens in 472 BC, Xerxes is presented as an effeminate figure whose hubris leads to his downfall and the ruin of his kingdom. Herodotus' Histories, written later in the 5th century BC, also features Xerxes as a major figure. However, some of Herodotus' information has been criticized as biased and stereotypical. Despite this, Richard Stallman regards his portrayal of Xerxes as nuanced and tragic. In the biblical book of Esther, Xerxes is identified with the king Ahasuerus. Some scholars consider this to be a historical romance, with no consensus on the historical event that might have inspired the story. Xerxes has also been a central character in various operas, novels, and films. He is the protagonist of the opera Circe by George Frederick Handel and the subject of the historical novel Xerxes of de Hoogmoed by Dutch writer Louis Couperus. In popular culture, Xerxes has been portrayed in films such as The 300 Spartans, 300, and its sequel 300, Rise of an Empire, where he is depicted as a giant, godlike figure. This portrayal attracted controversy, especially in Iran. In the video game world, Xerxes has been featured in games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Age of Empires. In Gore Vidal's historical fiction novel Creation, Xerxes' life and death are described in detail. Despite the varying depictions, Xerxes remains a significant figure in the historical and cultural narrative, embodying the grandeur and complexities of the ancient Persian Empire. As we've journeyed through the life and reign of Xerxes, we've uncovered a tale of ambition, power, and intrigue that has left an indelible mark on the annals of history. From his grand architectural projects to his military campaigns, Xerxes' story is a testament to the grandeur and complexities of the ancient Persian Empire. His portrayal in various forms of literature, opera, and popular culture continues to shape our understanding of this fascinating historical figure. Thank you for watching this episode of History Uncovered. If you found this video informative and engaging, please like and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating stories from the past. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications so that you never miss a new video. We look forward to bringing you more tales from history, unraveling the stories of those who have shaped our world. Until next time, keep uncovering history.